You're listening to the AstroMommy Daily Horoscope, a forecast that hopes to shine a light in the dark, helping us all see where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. Whether you're a first-time listener or a long-time subscriber, thanks for being here. I truly appreciate you being in the AstroMommy community. I hope you enjoyed today's horoscope and card reading. If you would like to support the AstroMommy Newsletter, there are several ways to do so. Subscribe on Substack, share it with a friend, schedule a reading, check out my family's Etsy shop, Metaphysical Flamingo, or just leave a tip. Without further ado, here is the Daily Horoscope. Rising above the maze of life to see the path, Mercury Cazimi conjoined Neptune and square Mars, plus Venus, the goddess of love, squares Pluto and moves into Taurus. Daily horoscope for Thursday, March 16th, 2023. Good morning, friends. Life sometimes feels like a maze. When you enter a maze, you don't know which way to go. You navigate and usually end up at dead ends, making wrong turns, or run into unpleasant things. If you are able to climb a tower and peek over the top of the maze, you can see which way you should go, which turn to take when, and which corridors will lead to dead ends. These towers of insight are rare, but today we will get to scale one and take a look at the road ahead. I'm talking about Mercury's conjunction with the Sun, called Cazimi, and today is a very special one. There is so much astrology today. There are the aspects of the Moon, this phenomenal stellium in Pisces, Mercury's Cazimi, and the transits of Venus to talk about. So, let's get into the astrology. This morning could start out with complaining. Depending upon what this moon in Capricorn is activating in your chart will give you clues. We could all feel the need to just get some stuff off our chests. People will try to be helpful and offer their advice. It could be one of those moments, though, where all you want to do is vent and you don't really want other people's unsolicited advice. But it's important to be graceful anyway and just realize they are trying to offer their support in the only way they know how. By the late morning, you could feel a surge of inspiration to take action on something inventive. Probably that you thought yourself, or maybe it was something someone suggested. Either way, your desire for independence is strong and new opportunities may come to light and you may feel spontaneously called to act on them. All of this is because the moon in Capricorn is forming squares to Chiron and Jupiter in Aries, then a sesquiquadrate to Saturn in Pisces, and finally a trine to Uranus in Taurus, all before lunch. Moving on to this amazing stellium that we have in Pisces today. You can see the three planets, Sun, Neptune, and Mercury, all together in Pisces in the chart below. The Sun and Neptune conjoined in Pisces yesterday at 7:16 p.m. Eastern Time, and have been traveling together since. Mercury will join them at 1:12 p.m. Eastern Time today, and then all three will stay at 25 degrees until about 4:55 p.m. Eastern Time, when the Sun will separate from the bodily conjunction. Mercury will stay with Neptune for 7 hours more and then hit 26 degrees at 11:55 p.m. Eastern Time, at which time he will conjoin the Sun, entering the Cazimi phase. The Cazimi phase will be exact tomorrow at 6:44 a.m. Eastern Time and last until Mercury passes the Sun by 17 degrees of arc at about 9:43 a.m. Eastern Time. Mercury Cazimi is when Mercury is no longer combust the Sun, but rather in the heart of the Sun and basically sitting on the lap of the king. This is an illuminating moment for Mercury and one where we may feel a heightened sense of clarity. It's like we are riding along through the clouds and we come up over their white blanket for a moment and see the beautiful sun, the horizon stretching on for miles in all directions, and we get an amazing view that gives us new clarity of direction. We rise up and look over the maze of life, and we can see, but only for an instant, the path we need to take. This is very interesting with Neptune being involved and also in the sign of Mercury's fall and detriment, Pisces. So this is like we are getting this clarity in a dream, a lucid dream, and then if we could only remember it when we wake up, right? Mercury and Neptune together in Pisces is not a great combination for clear thinking. It's a great combination for music, artistic expression, and great acting. Being able to completely commit yourself to an imaginary role, like how some actors become their characters for the duration of the movie they are in, even when they are not performing a scene. Mercury-Neptune is great for that. Mercury-Neptune is great for musicians, being able to completely take someone on a journey with their music, transforming time and space for a moment for the listener. So this Mercury Cazimi in Pisces with the influence of Neptune, I feel as it will be like being lost in a dream and then realizing you are dreaming and having clarity for a moment. Conscious thought inside the dream world, and for about a day we will be able to control what happens in that dream. My dad told me once that if I found myself in a lucid dream, to look at my hands, because that was a conscious action that would help me stay in the lucid state and control the dream. I find this interesting since Mercury represents the hands and what we do with them. So it's like if we can look at our hands while Mercury is Cazimi today and tomorrow, maybe we can control our dream. I think being aware of the astrology is like looking at our hands. It gives us an awareness of what is happening. Another thing that Mercury-Neptune Sun could represent is precognition, having insights and downloads about the future, like being able to see above the maze for a moment and knowing what is about to happen or which way we should go. And let's not forget that this stellium in Pisces between Mercury, Neptune, and the Sun is all in a square aspect with Mars and Gemini, who just exited his shadow. First, yesterday, Mars squared Neptune. Now today, the Sun will square Mars, and then Mercury will square Mars. The stellium in Pisces is in a superior position to Mars and therefore has the upper hand in directing the Mars-like energy. So our actions, drives, and impulses are going to be influenced by this dreamy, otherworldly, illusionary energy. We could feel more heat, vigor, and passion toward things. We could also hear about controversies, accidents, and conflicts in the news. We could feel a bit overworked, overexcited, or overextended. It's going to be anything but boring. Moving on to Venus. Venus in Aries is perfecting a square to Pluto in Capricorn at the 29th degree of their respective signs at 3:58 p.m. Eastern Time, and this is the last square from Aries to Capricorn between these two planets in our lifetimes. Venus will square Pluto again, of course, but it won't be from her detriment in Aries. For the next 20 years, the squares will come from her home sign of Taurus and her detriment of Scorpio. Venus in Aries square Pluto in Capricorn can bring up issues surrounding our relationships, what we value, and our deep desires. We could see things like scandalous love affairs and fatal attractions. In our own lives, this could represent a major transformation of something Venusian within ourselves that may have to do with our sexuality, sensuality, or emotional desires and disappointments. Pluto represents death and transformation, so we could experience the death of something or someone that we care deeply about. Venus-Pluto also makes me think of poison, venom, or something that is sickly sweet and may cause more harm than good. On the flip side, Venus-Pluto square could represent a turning point that results in an increase in wealth, power, or sexual appeal. Right after Venus makes this square, she ingresses into her home sign of Taurus at 6:33 p.m. Eastern Time. This is a wonderful place for Venus where our relationships, values, and personal assets can get a boost and a recharge. It's like a cosmic refueling station for Venus. And Saturn in Pisces is now lending a bit of support, actually, because after she ingresses into Taurus, she will engage in a sextile to Saturn. So this could be a positive, constructive pat on the back for Venus. Let's move on to the card for the day. What is the guidance for today? 29, 5th house, creativity. The 5th house was said to be the joy of Venus in traditional astrology and represents children, pregnancy, recreational activities, and pleasures. And like the card says, our creativity. It's where things are born from within our souls. It's a house of good fortune and abundance. Interesting that we should pull this card on the very day that Venus, who rejoices in the 5th house, should be moving into her home sign and gaining a lot of essential dignity, becoming more powerful and more able to express herself and bring her unique gifts. In Taurus, these are gifts of passion, pleasure, sensuality, wealth, growth, and blossoming. Wherever Taurus is in your chart, you can expect some renewed energy, creativity, and passionate juices to be flowing in that area of your life once Venus enters this sign. Taurus is also a sign of being steady, stable, and grounded, pursuing long-term goals and staying committed to those goals. As the card for the guidance for the day, I feel that this represents that if we stay humble and open to learning, we will be inspired and full of an unstoppable amount of creative energy that will fill up our emotional cups and inspire and nourish those around us. The moon today is also forming a trine to Uranus and Taurus, and so I feel that this card is also speaking to staying open to possibilities for spontaneous creativity. When inspiration strikes, go with it. Additionally, this card could be about figuring stuff out in a creative way, like how to use the insights you gain from the stellium in Pisces to navigate the maze. Maybe it's about applying a mnemonic device to the information you get so you don't forget it. Turn it into a story so that it sticks. Oh, there I go with some unsolicited advice. It could also be about puppet theater. If we look at this card's images, we see the happy, sad face masks associated with the theater, and underneath is a sort of puppeteer who appears to be holding the strings of a marionette. So the question then is, who is holding the strings? What is real and what is a show? This reminds me of another thing I wanted to discuss today, but we'll only briefly mention here, the UFO mothership news. I feel that this could be real. I do like to entertain the idea of aliens. Or it could be an illusion, a story, alien theater, that is used to distract us from the real path through the maze. Could this be a moment of clarity or more deep fog? More illusions, like a magician using sleight of hand to trick his audience? What do you think about the alien mothership news we've been seeing? Let me know in the comments. I hope this is helpful. Until tomorrow, AstroMommy.
Thank you for reading or listening to the Daily Horoscope. Quick links and resources can be found at the bottom of the newsletter. Today's card was pulled from the Black Moon Astrology cards available on Amazon. If you seek knowledge and enlightenment, the AstroMommy Newsletter may be right for you. Side effects of reading or listening to the AstroMommy Newsletter are common and include joy, jubilation, delight, happiness, gratitude, love, triumph, feeling in tune with the universe, experiencing deep insights, reflections, and contemplations, a lightened soul, a lighter step, feeling awake when others are asleep, illuminated, enlightened, having spiritual experiences, noticing repeating numbers, animals in nature, or songs on the radio that speak to you, getting vibes, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsmelliance, feeling like you know a secret language, biophilia, crying tears of joy, emotional literacy, feeling lively, stable, exalted, having an auric glow, or feeling like you woke up on the right side of the bed, have all been reported. If you purchase anything through the affiliate links that I provide in the newsletters, I will make a very small commission. Thanks for listening.